Gavin Newlands.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I am grateful for being given the opportunity to take part in this debate and to speak against what it is, in my book, one of the more heinous pieces of legislation tabled either by this Tory government or by any other government for that matter. I am proud to be able to make the case for immigration, reminding our international community that they are valued and that we do appreciate the contribution that they make to our communities. Madam Deputy Speaker, I know that the members opposite like to consider issues purely on economic terms, and I could talk at length about the positive economic impact that immigration has on the UK economy. However, the biggest impact that our international community have on the UK cannot be measured purely in terms of economic growth or statistics, as the most important impact that our foreign-born friends have can be witnessed in our communities each and every day. During my research into the impact of this bill, I met with the Renfrewshire Empowering Ethnic Minorities Group, or REAM. REAM are a fantastic example of a group who are rooted in our community, who serve their members, helping to provide advice and training, and to organise a number of events throughout the year to help integrate their members with the local population. Groups like REAM internationalise our towns and cities. They help to achieve social cohesion and they diversify our villages, towns and cities. That's why it depresses me to hear so many Tory MPs lining up to spout rhetoric about the allegedly devastating impact that immigration has on our country. The problem for the UK Government is that instead of developing policy which is evidence-based, it is attempting to create policy which purely panders to the UKIP sympathisers in their own party.
Yes, it does.
This bill sends a message that the UK finds it an inconvenience that anyone would want to come and work here, and that the British Government wants to drive a wedge between Britain and the rest of the world. Madam Deputy Speaker, these are not my words, but the words of one of my constituents who is fed up with the deeply damaging and divisive Tory rhetoric and has decided to move away from the UK as he knows when he is not wanted. I would like to briefly touch on a number of aspects of the bill and explain how they will have a significant impact on foreign residents, regardless of whether they are living here illegally or not. Firstly, the Immigration Minister states that illegal immigration denies work to UK citizens. However, one of the consequences of this bill, and it may be an unintended consequence, is that it will make it harder for all foreign-born residents to get a job. This legislation is also targeting small businesses, shamefully using racial profiling and focusing on takeaways and off-licences, with employers now facing a criminal prosecution and a 5-year prison sentence if they are found to be employing someone whose right to remain has expired. Now, trying to ascertain someone's immigration status can be a confusing process to undertake, and many of these small businesses do not have the administrative budgets to be confident enough to check the status of their foreign-born employees. Therefore, it is not difficult to see that many small business owners will not take the risk of employing someone who is foreign. This is bad for business, as we will lose out in recruiting a skilled worker, but it will also be a significant barrier for foreign-born workers who will find it more difficult to get a job. However, not only will members of our international community find it difficult to get a job, but this bill will make it harder for them to have a roof over their heads as well. The right to rent clause included in this bill will encourage discrimination, promote the worst possible practice in housing management and make it harder for members of our international community to find a home.
Thank you for that. You're right to say it could cause problems in terms of discrimination. We've already heard that landlords will be less likely to rent houses to citizens without a British passport. So does the member agree that that will actually cause further pressure in the housing sector? Combine that with the right to buy we've heard about, the force to sell legislation, and so this government's rush to legislate in a scattergun approach is actually going to cause further problems in terms of housing as well as immigration issues we're hearing about today.
I wholeheartedly agree with my honourable friend, the member for Kilmarnock and Loudon. This immigration bill will create a situation whereby landlords will have to be 100% sure that no illegal migrants are living in their property. Failure to abide by this could result in the landlord facing a fine of £3,000 and a jail sentence of 5 years. The vast majority of our landlords will not be qualified or have the time to distinguish between a legal migrant and an illegal migrant. Therefore, to protect themselves,
surely the honourable gentleman recognises that that's exactly why landlords can just refer the issue. The Home Office will then rule on it within, I understand, 48 hours.
I think perhaps some of the members not heard of the difficulties that the helplines have actually been facing, so more resources are required. Therefore, to protect themselves, many landlords will operate a blanket approach and won't take the risk of accepting any tenant who is born overseas or has a foreign-sounding name. This bill will also make it easier for landlords to evict tenants who are found to be living here illegally. They will be able to do this without a court order, and we should be concerned that this sort of practice is carried over to other tenants who are living here legally. However, we don't have to guess, fear or anticipate the problems that this bill will create for tenants, as even though the Government are shamefully not willing to publish their review of the West Midlands pilot before pushing ahead with this bill, reports from it are suggesting that the right to rent policy encourages discrimination towards migrant groups.
So there's the evidence.
Moving on, Part 4 of this bill is particularly odious, and we should be reminded that the immigration appeal routes exist for a reason. That is to correct a wrongful decision. Now, the previous Immigration Act drastically reduced the number of appeals available, but this bill removes them entirely for some people. The Deport First, Appeal Later policy that was included in the last Immigration Act led to 230 foreign nationals being deported in the first year of this Act being implemented. In his closing remarks, I would ask the Immigration Minister to make clear how many of the 230 completed the appeal process. Madam Deputy Speaker, I think this bill will create drastic consequences for all members of our migrant community, and it sends a wrong message to the international community of what kind of country we are. This immigration bill will turn communities against one another, extending the powers of the state to unparalleled levels and creating a Big Brother society where ordinary members of the public will be expected to act as the UK Government's very own immigration agents. In short, this bill is about pandering to UKIP and the right-wing element of the Conservative Party. It is ill-considered, deeply divisive, lacking compassion and any human decency, and will inevitably lead to increased racism. If the bill is passed, it will not be in my name, the Scottish National Party's name or Scotland's name, and I urge the Government to reconsider.
Hear, hear.